Hey, all, we're live. Before we start into the actual predictions today, because we know that with bated breath, you all sit waiting for the Central Division predictions. We have some real big breaking news, and I've got Garth on the phone, who was at the Sabres practice. He's our Hockey Buzz writer, of course, for the Buffalo Sabres, and he's going to fill us in on the comings and goings. Obviously, if you haven't heard, Jack Eichel an injury this at the practice, and so Garth, exactly how did this go down?
Well, typically at the end of each practice, well, for one thing, thank you for this quick phone call. I'm glad we could put it together quickly. But the long and short of it is, at the end of each practice, Dan Bilesman likes to run his power play. And what they did today was not unlike what they've done normally. It's 5-on-4 drills. You know, the white team, which was Eichel's, and the blue team, which ended up being, Zemgus Girgensson. So there was a net front play. And as you'll notice on that video, a friend of mine, Tom Martin from WIBB, recorded on my updated blog. They, the two players were not even tangled, really. It was just, Girgensson is trying to post, Eichel's trying to post up, trying to get position in the low paint, low slot. There was a stick battle. Girgensson went and lifted the stick, but there was no contact, body contact, nothing like that. It's a non-contact injury. And Eichel, pivoted, as the video will suggest, and then there was just down in pain and a loud yell. And then all the players on the ice then immediately turned to the bench, waved to the athletic trainers to come out, which they did immediately, and then he was assisted off the ice. It was eerily reminiscent of about 11 days ago when at the very end of a similar practice, newly acquired winger Kyle Okposo, working on a power play drill, took a point shot, slap shot off an unprotected region of his right knee, and he's been out ever since with a bruised knee. So it's weird how that happens. A lot of coaches want to put their power play at the end of the practice. If I were Dan Bilesman, I'd flip the script from now on and start doing it first. Just like they do on a game day skate. Special teams first, 5-on-5. Really, today was a 60-minute practice designed really to install special teams for Montreal, who they host tomorrow night in Buffalo.
Right, and other news that people might not know is Carey Price won't be in that game either because he's got the flu. And also, we've heard today that Patrice Bergeron won't be playing. All these guys, freak injuries, the flu, all World Cup of Hockey guys. Not, of course, having nothing to do with the World Cup of Hockey, these injuries, but know that it's always. I've been in these situations before, and I know there's no one's going to give you anything information wise right now.
No.
Originally, it was a leg. Then now it looks like maybe an ankle.
Yeah, left ankle, and that was confirmed. Dan Bilesma in his presser, he spoke again, somber but positive because he's the head coach of a team. He was the head coach of a Sidney Crosby-led Pittsburgh Penguins team that saw their captain get knocked out on the biggest stage possible at the Winter Classic against Washington, but the season goes on. So Bilesma took very measured steps to recommend that Jack Eichel does not a team make. Yes, he's a great player. Yes, there's a lot expected of him. However, he did go out of his way to say, look, you know what, you have Ryan O'Reilly healthy. In fact, O'Reilly skated after practice today, and now he'll likely be ready tomorrow. Okposo won't be. There'll be another decision for the West Coast trip. But Bilesman's point is, look, the next man up. And I know it's trite, it's a cliche, and it's so NFL, like, oh, next man up, but it truly is.
Yeah.
Because they just made some points and sent some kids down to Rochester. The fortunate thing for Buffalo is they are rich at the center ice position, and they've got wingers playing center. Naturally, you've got guys like Tyler Ennis and several people. And let's face it, at every level of hockey, even wingers, all-star wingers in today's NHL, were centers moving up through junior, through AAA hockey, through youth hockey. The best players play center ice. So even if you're a fourth-line winger in the NHL today, at some point you played center.
Right.
Buffalo doesn't have any shortage of centers with Reinhart, Sam Reinhart, who could easily come from the wing, the center line, Tyler Ennis, Ryan O'Reilly, Zemgus Girgensson. So from a short-term perspective, that's probably where Biles was thinking. Not knowing, I mean, right now the prognosis is, imaging is going to happen this afternoon. Speculation can happen. It will because of the internet.
Right.
We know better than anybody what that can mean. But until there's an official diagnosis and an official timetable for the rehabilitation or the rehab from the injury, it's just pointless for anybody to project. But internally, they can protect themselves and promote from within. They can even reach into Rochester if they need to find a center. Alex Nylander, their first-round draft choice from June, with a late cut yesterday. He plays center. He also plays wing. So Miles's got options in that regard. But really what they want to do now is just find out from the orthopedic team who Eichel is going to meet with at any time if he hasn't already. Do some imaging, find out a care plan, and then make an announcement, and then find out what it is. It could simply be a twisted ankle, which is great. Or it might be something else, but until such time we won't know.
Yeah, it's well, keep us in touch, obviously. If anything breaks as we go through, feel free to call back. I think it's going to be a couple days. It's one of those things. It seems like it's going to be a little while before we hear anything.
Yeah, well, it's interesting for the Sabres, too, because they're home now. They've been home all week. They reduced their camp roster like everybody to get compliant with the NHL 23-man roster yesterday afternoon. However, they work tomorrow in Buffalo. They do their game day skate. Okposo's already ruled out. After tomorrow night's game, they head west where they face Connor McDavid in Edmonton on Sunday night. And then they go to Calgary to face Johnny Gaudreau on Tuesday night. They go to Vancouver on Thursday. You'll see them in Philly on the 25th.
Yeah.
And then they're not back home until the 27th.
Wow.
So I guess from a hockey viewing standpoint for, those people that are sitting and saying, hey, NBCSN doesn't give a crap about the NHL. Why would they show Eichel and McDavid, or Eichel versus Gaudreau? I guess the regional people and the regional carriers and then the local markets, they've been fascinated and they've been salivating for the first Eichel-McDavid showdown, which will happen Sunday night in Edmonton in their new building. So I guess, there's a lot of people around, not even Sabre fans, but many people with crossed fingers and crossed toes hope that showdown actually happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Play.
For sure. Well, thanks again. Really, we appreciate it. Great job today reporting from practice. That's Garth from HockeyBuzz.com. You can follow him at @SabresBuzz on Twitter. And please do, because he'll be giving you updates from there as well. So thanks, man. Take care.
You know my story. I'm just doing my rock and roll duty.
All right. Have a good day.
See you later.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. All right. So that's Garth, and he is he just left Buffalo Sabres practice. So we wanted to start with that today because obviously this is big news. This looks like one of those injuries that you have to. It looked horrible. I mean, you've all seen the pictures of it by now. I mean, it's the kind of thing you just don't want to look at twice. And it's at first, I think an ankle can be weird. I mean, there's two kinds of ankle injuries, obviously, that you have to worry about. You have your regular ankle sprain, and everyone who's ever sprained an ankle, I mean, they say screaming out in pain, but I've screamed out in pain spraining an ankle as well. Ankle sprains are very painful.
Well, it's funny because if it's a high ankle sprain, I've heard so many people say you're almost better if it's broken because high ankle sprain can be.
Yeah, ankle sprains are rough.
They're really tough. They're really tough because usually you can't put any weight on it in order for it to heal properly.
But we're
anybody who's ever skated.
They're really painful.
Right. Anybody who's ever skated knows their ankles are pretty damn important. That's like the one thing that you can't do well at all. You can have twists and things like that, but you can't have a bad ankle and skate. It's just not possible. So
just think the best case scenario here, if it is a high ankle sprain, is probably 6 to 8 weeks. If it's a break, it's probably that length or a little longer. But we'll wait till the Sabres come out with the.
Wasn't it his knee?
No, I thought it was a knee. It looked like it was a knee, but they're saying it's a left ankle. So the ankle got.
The knee is not supposed to move like that either. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing really looked terrifying. We're not going to show it on here. You guys can check it out for sure.
It was pretty gross. It's pretty gross. Like if you have a weak stomach, I honestly wouldn't look at it because it's pretty significantly gross to me out. So.
Yeah.
Well, Russ, what I said to you before the show. I had the Sabres ahead of the Leafs in our predictions that we made on Monday. This injury, if it's 2 to 3 months, immediately lowers the Sabres to a lower level in the Atlantic Division because I think Jack Eichel is an integral part of them being able to have success this year.
Yeah, you could have next man up, but without Eichel and for however long they're without Okposo, they're not going to win a lot of games. I wouldn't call Alex Nylander up because A, I don't think he's ready, and B, I've never seen him play center, and I wouldn't want him to play center at 18 in the NHL, right? So I would leave him exactly where he is.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to fill these spots with, veterans that they have and deal with it, but it's going to hurt.
I would say leave Reinhart where he is actually maybe you could move Reinhart up the middle or Gergensons, because Gergensons has played center for an entire year in the NHL, but yeah, it's going to affect the Sabres a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's going to affect them a lot. All right, well we'll be definitely checking in on this for sure as the day goes here. And but let's get into the other news. Obviously, Bergeron not playing as well in the opener. That's an issue too.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I called it the Team Canada World Cup curse because Carey Price, Bergeron, Crosby with his concussion, all these guys are probably not going to be in the opening lineup. And then came out a couple minutes ago about Kevin Miller, the defenseman from Boston, who's out 6 weeks, and Adam McQuaid might be out for the opener. So a lot of these teams are starting the season shorthanded, and it's surprising, 2 defensemen for the Bruins, and they didn't sign Christian Ehrhoff. So, they're already starting in a way behind the 8 ball to start the season. Right.
No, that's for sure. That's absolutely 100% for sure. So let's get into the Central Division here. This division, I had a debate about the best division in hockey, and I think it comes down to this or the Metro. In my mind. And I think the Metro division is gaining. This division has been the best division in hockey for the last couple years. Or last year, I think, was unquestionably the best division in hockey. And basically because you have a lot of good teams here, and you have, you have 4 or 5 teams that could win this division. Mm-hmm. Last year, people forget that the Dallas Stars won this division. It was kind of they of course, ran out of steam. But as we go along here, let's get into who we think. So we're going to start, of course, with the seventh position again, and I would like to start with, of course, we have to start with Mike.
7th place will be the Winnipeg Jets. I believe the addition of Laine, some really good young players like Nick Ehlers. That they will thrive. They will get opportunities there. I think Hellebuyck, now that they've waived Pavlik, is a good goaltender, and they'll have more success with him. 1, it's a very, very tough division. 2, the absence of Trouba and probably the eventual trade of Trouba, I think, weakens them on the blue line a little bit. So I think they'll be good. I think they'll be better than they were last year. They have some promising talent, but I think they'll finish last in the division.
All right. I'll go second on this one because it never happens. I don't want to make you guys always. I always get to go last. Someone's like, you go last, so you get to figure out who you want. In the meantime, no, I've already written my preview for this. But anyway, there you have it. But anyway, my 7th team is the Colorado Avalanche for this division.
Ooh,
and I know that's a little bit of a tricky one. Colorado has been up and down. Obviously, they weren't very good last year. I do think that even though I love their new coach, I like him a lot. I just think that there was something going on with this team beyond, what we know. And I think the Patrick Waugh situation was kind of Patrick Waugh. You can say he's just on an island. That's what he's doing. He's just doing what Patrick Waugh does. And some people have said that. But I also think that this team was sort of handicapped by the fact that they were partially built by Patrick Waugh and partially not. There was not a real sense of direction. Some of this team is really there because Patrick Waugh demanded them to be there. And some are there and Patrick Waugh didn't like that they were there, and that's why he's gone. So you have a team that's a little bit in flux. It's going to be a tricky thing, and in any other division, I would say they would have a chance of climbing out of the basement. But in this division, with the other 6 teams, I don't think they do. I think this is the best they can be, and so I'm going with Colorado in 7th. What do you think, Russ?
I've got Colorado here too. I mean, Varlamov would have to steal a lot of games. Their defense would have to be a lot tougher. They do have a new coach. Look, Grigorenko had a really good preseason. Or more, maybe. I mean, maybe he's going to start figuring it out and can become at least like a 40-point guy. I don't think that's out of the range of possibility. But even with all those things said, the offense is good. It's not great. It's, once you get into the 3rd, 4th line, it's kind of rough when you match up against some of these other great teams. So I have them there.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Jillian, you're the one who's going to break the tie here, or
I have the Jets.
or create a tie. Who do you have?
Tie there. I just don't like them yet. They do have. I mean, Laine is a huge addition, and he will make a huge difference on this team. But that said, it doesn't mean that he's ready to make this huge impact this first season. They do have some young players that I think will eventually make an impact, but they're just not there yet. I think it's another year of pain there. And I think actually more than any other coach in the NHL, their coach right now I don't think you'll see him in Winnipeg next year. I think he's going to take the hit for the team not being there, but I think that he's in the hot seat.
All right, Jill, something's wrong with your microphone. I mean, we hear you, but you're kind of I don't know if we're not hearing. You have a microphone, or you're using your laptop, or what's going on?
I'm using my laptop, which is what I used yesterday.
Somehow, maybe you're just off mic a little bit. Maybe I think you're just it sounds like you're in that. You get that room,
like an echo chamber,
like a room thing.
Where log off and log back in.
Yeah, log back. Yeah, maybe you're just your angle of your something is something. Okay. Angle is wrong or something. Anyway,
hold on.
You hate the wrong angle thing. All right, so we got a tie there between the Winnipeg Jets and the Avalanche for 7th place. Now it gets hard. Like immediately to me, it gets hard. Like right off the bat, that's all I had was the Colorado Avalanche, and then after that, I knew the Colorado Avalanche were going to finish in 7th place. But after that, I could really have no the hell idea what's going on here.
Is it any better by the way?
Still weird, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like it almost sounds like. Like you're in a weird space. Could you check your settings, or maybe you're something else that's like picking up a microphone? Do you have a headphone plugged in or something like that?
I do not. I have literally the same exact setup as yesterday.
It's okay when you're right there.
Yeah,
right here.
It doesn't matter like where your head is.
That sounds
I don't talk like this. Is this better?
Yeah. Don't move your head.
Or maybe just angle your screen a little bit, one way or the other. That way you'll get a different.
Wait, I'm gonna snap your head like that. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll make the sad face.
Okay. That sounds better. You don't have to be sad.
That's good.
All right.
Just talk like this. I'll be in the computer talking like this.
A little close. Back off, man.
Yeah, we don't need to see your scalp. Come on.
Back off. All right. 6th place. I'm going to go first on this one, and I am going to tell you flat out that this is where the Minnesota Wild are going to finish. And I don't like to say that because I have been one of these people that keeps feeling the Wild is going to be the next thing. Like every year I keep saying they're right on the verge of being the next great. Like they're following that trajectory. They're reminding me of the LA Kings. I've said all kinds of great things about the Wild over the years, right? And I just, it's just, I've gotten to the point where I don't really like the Stahl pickup as your big offseason acquisition. I don't think that that's a major upgrade. I think he's going to be great in the locker room and all that stuff. And they have young players that are coming along really well. I feel like the Parise Suter thing is starting to have issues with that team. And, and I learned a little bit more, unfortunately, when I was at the World Cup of Hockey, where that might be the case, that, the two guys are not the most positive sometimes in the locker room. And it's just a strange situation. Now, I don't know, I've always been fans of them. There's something amiss in Minnesota that keeps them out of the playoffs in my mind this year for the first time in a while. And this is because where I see I'm number 6th. How about you, Russ? Start with you.
6th, I've got the Jets. I do think Kyle Connor will have an impact. I put him as one of the 10 best rookies in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll have an impact. I think the goaltending will be much improved with Hellebuck, but I still don't think their defense is up to snuff. And I still worry about their 3rd and 4th lines. So I don't think they're quite there yet. I don't think they're going to be able to break through with a lot of these teams. In another division, I might say that they would have a chance at the playoffs. In this one, really hard. So I'm going to put them out.
Yeah, 6th. How about you, Jill?
I have the Wild as well, and I didn't like putting them here, but I did. The most notable move came from behind the bench, and the most notable player acquisition, like you said, was Stahl. And they've invested so much. Oh, I have an echo and I can hear it. They've invested. Is it still bad, my echo?
It's not so bad. I think it's you're okay. You're fine.
They've invested so much in what I say, hometown talent, and it never paid off for them. And they're getting on the wrong side of their age. And I just don't see them as much different from last year. They might see an early boost from a new head coach, but I don't think that's going to carry them through the season.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with your sound, Jill. I'm sorry. No, wait, but
Stay right there.
I think you
Right
have to
here?
stay in the middle. Like, I think you have to turn your whole thing like this or
It's
something.
in the middle. It's right now. I'm in
That's
the
good.
middle.
Just don't move. Don't move right
That's
there.
good.
I'll have to find my microphone. It's somewhere. I don't know.
There's something going on. Like, you have like a sweater up against the
It's a
side.
direct.
No, I have nothing. I literally have the same exact setup.
That's
as
so
you.
funny. I don't know what it is.
It has a directional mic. That's what it is.
Very directional mic that's hitting, like, for some reason has decided to be directional today. Anyway, so okay, so you've got the Wild as well. Mike, what do you have?
Well, this is where I put Colorado. Everybody had Winnipeg and Colorado flip-flopped except for Minnesota here. I think the difference between the Avalanche and the Jets is Nathan McKinnon. I don't think that right now the Jets have a dominating number one center, and I think with McKinnon and with Duchesne and Landeskog, I think their depth at forward is better. I think the defense situation, especially with Trouba not in Winnipeg right now and probably not going to be in Winnipeg, is about even, and that's sad because Colorado's defense has been an Achilles heel for years. And I think Varlamov is just more experienced than Hellebuyck. I think Hellebuyck will eventually be better, but I think just Colorado is a little further along, and that will get them a few more points and have them finish ahead of Winnipeg.
All right. What do you got, Russ?
I've got the Wild here. The reason I have them there is their goaltending to me is still just not right, especially for this division. If you were to rank goalies in this division, they may have the worst goaltending, actually. But they have a very good defense, so they're able to make up for it, and that's a pretty big deal. If Granlund could actually carry over what he did in the World Cup, we might actually see the Granlund that we all thought could be there
that's
when
true.
he got drafted. That's a big key for me. And Ek Eriksson is a heck of a player, but he's a real 200-foot player. And I think that's going to help him with the defensive part. It's hard to say Zach Parisi's like falling off, right? Because he had 68 points. I looked it up. He had 30 goals. But his 200-foot game has fallen off. And I think that is what hurts them when he matches up against the top line of, let's say, the Hawks or the Blues. That becomes a factor. And so these are tough things. I mean, they would be a playoff team in other divisions. In this division, they're right on the bubble.
Yeah, I'm dead on with everything you said. All right, going to fifth place. We'll start this one. Let's see. Why don't you start this one, Russ? Fifth.
Yeah, fifth is tough. I'm going to go with the Stars because of the early injuries. I think the early injuries are really going to hurt them and take them out of it for a little bit. I don't know where the goaltending's at. I really don't. I don't know who the number one is or even who the 1A is. Like, who's going to get 55% of the starts? Like, I don't even know. To me, that's an issue. I know most people are like, Nichushkin, no big loss, whatever, but he's a big body with speed that they lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had anybody good to plug in his place.
I'll piggyback right with you there, and I'll say the same exact thing.
There's other guys. Colton Silver, however you pronounce his last name, I like him. I think he's coming on. But at the end of the day, I have him there. Yeah.
No, I have them there as well. So I'm going to go right along with you there. So, Russ, you're either in trouble or – but because so far I think you and I have matched up directly.
You're in trouble.
As Wild and the Stars. I think it's the same thing with Dallas. It's hard to say because Dallas was so good last year, and they have in Sagan and Ben, maybe the most potent 1-2 in the West. There's so many potent 1-2s, Kane and Taves, and and Malkin and Crosby, of course. But this Ben and Sagan are right there with them. They're like, and they are not often thought of as being right there, but they are. They're that good. I somehow don't think the goaltending is going to be a problem. I don't know why, but I still think that this team is just lacking something. And I also think that from 5th to from 1 to 5 in this division is going to be so friggin' close that it's going to be so hard to tell. Like this, they could finish as high as 2. I could see them in 2nd, but they might. And will they make the playoffs in 5th? That's the question. Will there be 5 teams from this division? I don't know. I'm not sure that there will be this year. I think that it could be 4 this year, and I think you could see 4 out of the Pacific. So, because I said that yesterday. I think LA could finish 4th in the Pacific and make the playoffs. So I think that, this is a spot where if Dallas falls out of the playoffs here, that's a big issue. obviously, because they were, they've been a team that we keep expecting them to make, and they've got Jim Nill's the best GM in the league, in my opinion. So it's so hard for me to put this team there, but I am going to go with it. I agree. It's just the rest of the division is so strong. Jill?
What number are we on? I'm sorry.
Number 5.
Okay, I actually have the Avs in 5th.
Okay.
I do think this offseason they got. Is my mic any better, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Better.
I have no idea. I apologize to everyone.
You're good. You're good.
I think they got like a tiny bit better, but for me, is the coaching. I've always said that a coach, they can't make a bad team great, and they can't make a great team bad. But I do think they can take you up a peg or down a peg. They can make a good team great, or they can make a bad team okay. And I do think that was the situation with Waugh. I think he was taking them and taking them down a peg. Not that he, I just didn't like him as a coach. And I love McKinnon and Duchesne. I think that it sucks that they're in the division that they're in, because I do think that they would be a playoff team in any other division. But there is so much competition here that they're coming in 5th just outside the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, 5th outside the playoffs. Mike?
This is where I have Minnesota, and I mean, reflecting on what all of you said about the Wild, the one thing I'm concerned with is everything has to go right for them to make the playoffs. I think it's going to be between them and Calgary for the last wild card spot. I mean, if Parise and Suter have enough left, if there are no major injuries, I mean, they add a guy like Teemu Pulkkinen off of waivers. He may be in their top 9, but they have a lot of Finns on that team with Granlund and Koivu, so maybe he gets to be part of that top 9 group. Their defense is really good. I think their top 5 on the blue line are really good. Dubnyk has to play like he did 2 years ago for them to make the playoffs, and that's a big question mark, because he played okay last year, but he didn't play great. And, the Bruce Boudreau factor, I mean, he always seems to do well in his first year with a new team. It's just a question of whether there's enough there with this team. You get this veteran core, and I just don't know whether there's enough there with those players to get into the playoffs, so I have them 5th.
There you go. All right, going to 4th. Here's where I'm going to throw out my first monkey wrench, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I don't think anyone else is going to do this, and you're going to be shocked at this. But I have the Nashville Predators finishing 4th.
That's very shocking, actually.
Yep. And
presses.
I know. And this is it's tough to do, but I think there's the thing. Everybody loves the PK Subban trade. Everybody talks about it. PK Subban trade is the best trade ever, better than Shea Weber. Well, here's, and he is more offensive than Peter Laviolette, but for Peter Laviolette, he's more offensive than he's definitely, Peter Laviolette is not offensive at all. He's a nice person to be around. He's a nice enough guy. But Subban is not offensive either, but he's more offensive minded than Shea Weber, and he fits Peter Laviolette's system better for sure. But here's the problem with Peter Laviolette and his systems. They have an arc that they hit, right? And sometimes when Peter Laviolette, by the time this is what I've noticed about all of his teams, by the time he gets the players he wants into his system has worn down some of the players that have been there the whole time to the point where they aren't as effective. Like, he almost needs half of the players he wants and half the players he doesn't want, but someone else thought was a good idea to be there, because Peter, I think, has a tough time balancing out the different kinds of players at times. And that's what I see in Nashville right now. Like, I see Pekka Rinne, who I think is on the downside of his career. I think Pekka Rinne is and he's a huge person, huge player for them, but I think that he is actually starting to show signs of, he's always shown signs of injuries, but he's starting to show signs of, can this guy be a dominant goalie again? Can he be a dominant goalie? I don't know that he can, and he's losing Shea Weber. Okay. And Shea Weber was so solid defensively for him. That's a problem to me. You've got a lot of good young players coming in. Philip Forsberg is inconsistent. He's good, but he's inconsistent, and he can be streaky. And that, to me, that's a real problem. I want to, they haven't really gone out still and gotten themselves another scoring option, which they need to do, and they haven't done it. I mean, they have, obviously, we're going to see what happens with Ryan Johansson, right? That he could be that player, but then again, he's iffy. There's just so many question marks around this Predators team that for the first time in a while, I feel like there's more question marks than definites. There've always been question marks around the Preds, but I don't know. I don't know.
I disagree a lot with you on that, but
yeah,
that's why we all talk.
yeah. And I think that's what'll happen, right? So, that's this is where I have them. I think they make the playoffs. Okay, and I don't think they don't make the playoffs. I think the Predators will be a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to. A lot of people are picking them to win the division. Like they're going. When I look around, a lot of them have them winning the division. And I had them winning the division last year. I did predict them to win the division last year, but this year I don't see it. I don't see it yet. So anyway, that's that. So Russ, what happened here exactly?
I think I went twice because the Stars are my fourth team, really.
Okay, all right, there you go. So I guess you did go twice. So your Stars are
twice because that's what threw me off. And then it's so yeah. So don't.
I'm sorry, I'm really bad at keeping track of this. I should just go in the same order, but I'm trying to mix it up.
Yeah.
Same time that I'm listening to what you guys are saying, so I get kind of lost in it. So Russ and I have picked fourth. You've got Dallas. I've got Nashville. Mike, go ahead.
Number 4, I have the St. Louis Blues. I'm a little concerned about the injuries to key players. Jaden Schwartz gets hurt again. They bring in Yakupov, and I think that was a good deal. They have one of the best forwards in the league in Tarasenko. Paul Stastny has not played up to what it was expected when they signed him. They have some good veteran guys. I just don't know in the final year of Ken Hitchcock whether he can get this team to buy in. Now, they had some playoff success last year and got to the conference final finally, but you've got the sort of situation with Shattenkirk where he may be waiting for free agency and could put up a pretty big year, but just to help his credentials in the summer. And I'm quite questionable about the goaltending. Jake Allen got hurt. They called up Binnington. Maybe Binnington's the answer. Maybe Jake Allen's the answer. But there's just as many question marks with the Blues as there are with most of the other teams in this division. So I think they'll make the playoffs, but I think that they're going to struggle for a little while, at least early on, with some injuries, and then maybe get their house in order as the season goes along. So
isn't it funny, that got ironic? I've been hearing forever that the Binnington's the answer for this team. I've been hearing it for a long time, right? That he's the guy.
I've been saying it for a while.
Yeah, you've been saying it for a while for sure, and I've heard Darren Pang talk about it too, and he's been saying it too, and he covers that team obviously all the time, and so just when they get apparently they move Elliott, so their goaltending situation is set. They've got a first. He's going to be Elliott. Now it feels like again they're right back to where they were before when Elliott gets hurt because Binnington's going to come in and do well, and now what? Now they've got 2 goalies. It's just like again, you've got 2 starting goalies, you have no starting goalies, right? That's like the whole, and it's just I don't know. I'm with you on that one, Mike. So Jillian, who do you have for fourth?
I also have the Blues. I don't like the moves they made in this offseason. I mean, they had Elliott, they let Backus and Bauer go. I mean, they let a lot of key players, in my mind, go. I do think, though, that for me, the top 4 in this division, like you have my top 4, they could bump a place up. There's so many question marks with a lot of these teams, really, that you could see them coming in any different spot. I think though that the top 4, you really are going to see that difference between the top 4 and the bottom. Yeah. But I just don't love this Blues team. I like Pietrangelo and I like Tarasenko. They're fun to watch, but there's just not enough there for me to see them getting to the. I don't see them finishing top in the division. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
The top 4 in this division could be separated by 6 to 8 points, so that it's 1 or 2 wins for the entire season.
Yeah, it's possible. Although I don't think so. I think a team's going to run away with this division, but we'll get there. 3 is okay. Let's go to number 3. And hey, Jill, you want to start this one off?
Sure. Let me see who I have. I have the Stars. This also comes down. This is a big goaltending question for me. I know, Russ, you had said it at one point too, where you're like, I don't really know who's 1 or 2. I just have no idea. They did let a lot of veteran players walk, but I still think that their top offensive scoring power is so strong that it is better than other teams in this division. Now, that said, you have some key injuries, and they could quickly fall to the bottom, not of the division, but of this top group. I still think they're going to get into the playoffs. I think that they will fizzle out early because their goaltending and the defense are going to haunt them again.
That's always possible. I do agree with you there. I'm going to go with my number 3, and my number 3 is the Winnipeg Jets. And I know some of you guys have them way lower than that, but
I think you just do this to see how people react.
I do not. If you go through my history of predicting, which I did this morning because I was stuck in a meeting and I was bored and I was on a big long conference call and I went through my prediction history, and actually I don't quite often I don't do that. But when I do, I've tended to be pretty close, like on some of the ones. I've been pretty good at picking. I've been very bad at putting teams. Like sometimes I'll put a team in first and they'll finish, like a team that would expect, they'll finish really low. But when I do pick a team that no one expects to finish high, they generally do finish high.
Last year you hit your zenith.
Yeah, but you're Mr. Counterintuitive, Act. That's what
I'm not Mr. Counterintuitive. I think that let me go on my rant about predicting for a second, okay? Because I spent a whole morning looking at this.
You're already countering us by saying you're not counterintuitive, so you are counterintuitive.
Right, I totally disagree with you that I'm counterintuitive. No, so here's the thing, okay? So going through this predicting thing, people really, I look at what I look at, and I think people look at the wrong things. I think they tend to look at what happened last year. Of course, that always plays into it, right? And then they tend to look at who they picked up, and they don't tend to look at players that are on their downsides and getting worse quicker, or like a lot of people took me to task for the Edmonton pick right yesterday. Of course, I got a ton. I was on radio stations yesterday defending this pick. Okay, so and the more I defended, the more I believed in it. Honestly, the more I believed that you're
just sinking into the blood.
What we always want to say in the NHL is this: we always want to say that teams are going to go from like 6th to 5th to 3rd to 2nd, and that's how it works, right? And it sometimes doesn't, and I said a couple times yesterday, if I had come here 4 years ago and told you that at the beginning of the 2016-17 season, I am picking the Edmonton Oilers to finish 2nd in the Pacific, no one would have laughed at me, right?
No, we still would have.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
No, but
they've all these great players coming and everything. That's 4 years ago, it would have been fine. But what happens is that they had a couple years where they definitely struggled in there. But that doesn't mean that those great players aren't still progressing, and it doesn't mean that they can make a sudden leap. And we've seen teams make sudden leaps. And I think that's what that.
Certain things are in place, and I still don't know if they have all those things in place. That's
what do they need? What are the certain things you need in place? You need a superstar. They've got
a strong defense. I don't know if they have either.
And they don't have either. They don't have either at all.
They have goaltending. Talbot's
okay.
He's a good goalie. He's not a better than average NHL goalie. He is not.
He has the potential to be a better than average NHL goalie. He hasn't been so far.
You can't base it on potential.
No. He's shown at moments. He's shown very, very good things.
He's not a young man. What is he? 29? I mean, when is that going to happen?
Well, he's a goalie though. Goalies develop later, so that's fine.
Let's stick with the Central.
They have a superstar, like a legitimate 100% superstar. When you have that, that's a big deal. They went out and they finally addressed some things that I've always wanted them to address. For example, they go out and they get Lucic. They haven't gone out and gotten a player like Lucic in this entire time. They've never gone out and gotten that kind of player. You can say he was overpaid, which he was. You can say he was there for too many years, which he is. You can say he's getting slower, which he is. But
he's
at the same time,
injury prone too. Like that's
he's injury prone and all that. But at the same time, he also brings a real large amount of old school hockey character.
Sure.
And that's something that they've needed desperately. So they go in there. So that the more and I really like some of the little things they've done. And some of these guys, like we talked about Maroon, these guys who are coming up who are just there's a lot of signs of something about to explode here in Edmonton.
Well,
and then
here's the thing. All right, so here's one thing. Long term now, I don't like Leon Draisaitl playing the wing. I think he's at the point in his NHL career where he should be playing center. It doesn't make sense that he's on the wing. Makes zero sense to me.
And I wonder if that changes as the year goes on, because they've got a good coach who figures that kind of stuff out. And, they have a really good coach as well. They also have, PRV is coming. And people talk about, they made these trades, Yakupov and they made Hall, which I told you I didn't agree with. But they did get Larson, which is something that they desperately needed.
Larson helps them. Absolutely.
Larson helps them.
100%. He's a top forward.
Wait, how did we go to Edmonton from Winnipeg?
I'm sorry.
Like,
You're right, Jillian. But anyway, I'm going to go back to Winnipeg, okay? Because
we didn't have this argument yesterday, which is when we should have had it.
No, because I spent 24 hours defending the Edmonton fix, so that's why I'm into this. Sorry.
Okay.
I've been talking about it on radio. I'm talking about it all over the place. So anyway, and I feel stronger about it now. Like, I would love to take money on this. This is like something, if I was a gambler, I would bet money on Edmonton.
Cookies. I'll bet you cookies.
All right, you got it. Did they make the playoffs, or that? What do you think?
I picked them to be 5th and outside of the playoffs, so I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll take that cookie bet too. They're not making.
Wait, what's the bet? I'm sorry, the bet is.
Will you give me 3rd or higher? Like, I'm going to take that they're a top 3 team in the Pacific.
No playoffs or no playoffs. That's
no
it.
Okay, I'll even better. All right, I'll take that being better.
I was going to say, why are you giving Eck the advantage in this one?
I've gotten better. It's gotten better as it's gone here. All right.
There's no advantage.
I was willing to go 3rd or higher. I think playoffs is really kind of a toss up. I think that's really where it gets going. Anyway, I'll take playoffs.
Okay.
We'll figure out the terms later.
We should agree to them on air so we can have it in the public forum.
All right, Winnipeg. All right, similar situation to Edmonton to a degree. Definitely not as sure as this pick as I am of Edmonton, but I still think in this division with all the other teams and some of the issues that are happening around them, the Jets could finish as high as second or as low as fifth. But I'm putting them right in the middle in third.
Okay.
And I really think that's.
You have the Jets. You said the Jets could come in second. Was that? I'm just.
Yes, the Jets could come in second. I think the teams 2 through 4 in this division are very similar.
Julian doesn't agree with you on that. Neither do I.
I do not agree with you in the slightest bit, but that's okay. That's why we're here.
No,
I think the Jets have done the Jets are a prospect-driven team. Obviously, they're young. They've got. I mean, if I was to tell you in 4 years from now that they're finishing second, would you think I was crazy? No.
Well, if they finish 29th or 30th for 3 years in a row, yes, I think you're crazy.
Right, which is the same thing I would have told you about Edmonton 4 years ago, right? But then you said no. You think I'm crazy.
No, you're still crazy.
I'm not crazy. So anyway, so there you have it. So the Winnipeg Jets, yes, Patrick Laine will battle for the Rookie of the Year as well. I've said this before. He will be right there in the Calder race. And they've got and Scheifele is really coming into his own. He's turning into a different kind of a player. I saw it at the World Cup of Hockey where he was on the top line. He really looked good on the top line. Mm-hmm. They obviously have to figure out the Drew Doughty situation, but their defense is so prospect driven that they actually are allowing this Drew Doughty situation.
Jacob
Trouba, sorry. I'm sorry. Jacob Trouba. But their defense is so prospect laden that they're able to actually play around with this Jacob Trouba thing and not really move him right away.
Well, not as much as you think, Ak. I mean, their number one prospect that maybe not in the NHL right now is Morrissey, and after that, you really don't have a deep well of defensive prospects. They're loaded. They're loaded more up front than they are.
They are loaded more up front, but they still have a pretty good defense right now, and their defense really isn't terrible.
It's not terrible, but right now
it's average. It's average.
Right now, Mark Stewart's your number 5 defenseman. That's not great.
I'm gonna throw this out to this team. Okay, if you were to play remember Sesame Street had the old song, "Which one of these is not like the other? Which one of these just doesn't belong?"
I know the song, but I didn't watch Sesame Street.
Okay, well, you didn't watch Sesame Street. What's wrong with you?
I didn't like it.
Oh my goodness.
I liked Electric Company, but I will not comment
Electric
on
Company. That show freaked me out.
Sesame Street was a socialist conspiracy. So continue.
Oh, remember what the new Zoom review that I had nightmares about when I was a child. Anyway.
HR fucking stuff.
Horrible. So anyway, but the Jets are when you look down this division, you're like, okay, Nashville, Dallas, Chicago, St. Louis, Minnesota, and Colorado. They all look like they should be in the same division. And then the Jets look like they shouldn't be in this division. Like they are nothing like the other teams in this division, right?
Let's put them back in the Southeast where they used to be.
I know, right? They feel they would fit much more with the Pacific Division teams, but they don't fit with these teams. And I think that plays their advantage because they are the one team that can actually put the offense and the way the NHL is going, the Penguins model, right, from last year, that is the Jets model. That is the way they play. I think that some of these teams are getting stuck in
the Crosby and the Malkin and guys and Letang. They don't have those guys. They have one of those guys. They have one, but they don't have 3 guys like that.
Well, they've got Scheifele. They've got
but they're not at that height yet. They're not.
Oh, they're not at that height yet. But I'm not picking them to win the Stanley Cup. I'm picking them to finish third in the Central.
Compared to some of the other teams in the division, they're not exactly strong up the middle with Scheifele and Brian Little. I mean, it's not bad.
It's good.
It's good, but it's not
terrible. I just think that their style works against the teams in their division, and that's why they're going to do well this year.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
All right, so there you have it. So who else? Who hasn't gone yet?
I haven't gone yet. So
what are we doing? Is this 3?
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. I got.
Yes,
that was a bit of a random
sidetrack. Talking about Edmonton. Rob, go ahead.
My third is the St. Louis Blues.
Right.
I would like to see Binnington get his shot. If he does, I think that could change things like Matt Murray changed things in Pittsburgh. I think sometimes it takes an injury more than the coach inserting the player to make that kind of change. Like, that's what happened with Pittsburgh. I think it could happen for St. Louis. I don't like the injuries they have. I do like the fact that they had Yakupov. That's good. I'm very puzzled that they're re-signing Scott Gomez. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, zero sense. I would bring up someone like Ivan Barbashev or something. They're just looking like for this.
I feel like there's a chip breast that like Hitchcock says, okay.
Yeah.
Scott Gomez.
And Scotty Upshaw. Why is Scotty Upshaw there?
Upshaw was way different. Upshaw was better
than. He can't score anymore. Upshaw used to be.
I know, but he brings something. He brought speed. And
what does he bring? I mean, but that's the thing. There's younger guys that can bring you that.
Yeah.
Pushing the chips in there and just bringing in veterans. Yeah. I don't like it, so I can't put them higher than third based on their losses of Backus and all the other things.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. So did everybody go third now? Did Mike? Did you go third?
No, I didn't.
Mike, go ahead.
I had Dallas. The one thing with Dallas that I'm a little concerned with is their blue line, because I think they're going to be able to score. They add Yuri Hoodler, which gives them a little more secondary scoring, but they're going through that change on the blue line. They lost Goligoski, they lost Jason Demers, who were veteran guys. They're calling up the Alexiaks and the Essa Lindells and Stephen Johns, and eventually they'll call up Honka, but. That's a lot of youth and a lot of inexperience on that blue line. That might be a factor. Now, I think their goaltending. We're not talking the playoffs. We're talking the regular season. They'll be able to get through the year with Lettinen and with Niemi. They'll put up good, decent numbers. But when it comes to the playoffs, that tandem, there's no number one, so you're going to end up not going as far as you should. But I think in the regular season they'll score enough, and they'll probably have enough goaltending to finish third in the division.
Okay. All right, so now it's the second. We are to second place, and we will go to second place with Russ.
I've got Nashville here. I think that the goaltending is solid. I'm back in Pekarine's corner. He doesn't seem to be taking as many chances. Even in the World Cup, I like the way he played for the most part, and that's at the very beginning of the season. I think it's a plus now that Rene is sort of like hit the ground running instead of not hitting the ground running. I think Subban will aid the Laviolette system. I like the addition of Austin Watson. It gives them size. It's another 6'4" guy who actually could skate a little bit, so that's a good replacement. I forget who was their Gaustad. He's a much more mobile guy than a Gaustad was. And so at the end of the day, their defense is solid. I think Ryan Ellis will make another step forward now that there's a little bit more space with Weber not there. And I think their power play will be better. And so I think they're right where they want to be.
You might be right. It bothers me. That team bothers me. It's so hard to predict that team, I think. Like I said, they could finish as high as here, where I put them in fifth.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Jill, who do you have for this one?
We're on number 2, right?
Sorry, yeah, I caught you. You're coughing.
Sorry. I like the Predators for the second. Sorry, my dog was being very needy. He was like scratching at me, so he's here.
Speaking of Predators.
Oh, he's so vicious, isn't he? He's a pug. I liked them last year, and I disagree with you being that they're inconsistent. I think out of any team minus like a 7 or 8 game losing streak once or twice in the season, they were pretty damn consistent. Their players performed almost exactly how they were expected to perform. I think the team is built to win now, and the moves they made in the offseason were notable, to say the very least. It'll be interesting for me to see how Roman
Josi.
Thank you, Yossi. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Plays against Subban because he was playing with him, because when he played with Weber, he had some big defenseman protecting him. So it'll be very interesting to see how they play together.
True.
I thought Wilson stepped up a lot in the postseason, and is that a fluke, or is that him catching his stride finally with them? The biggest question mark for me is their goaltending. I don't trust Pecorine. I don't, but I still think they have enough to finish in the top 2 in this division.
I like it. My number 2. I'm going to do it like this. I should have done them all like this. Right, here we go. Can you see it?
Having to focus.
Focus. No, it won't work. Anyway, this was an idea.
Okay.
The St. Louis Blues. That's where I have the Blues in number 2. And it's hard because, like I said, I just feel as if they are going to slightly outperform these. Like I said, these teams are all so close. I think they're going to slightly outperform these teams. I think the Blues, I really do agree that they lost a lot, but I don't think Backes is a huge loss. I think that he's a significant loss that they didn't really go out of their way to replace. I don't disagree with some of their moves. I still like their defense, of course. I like their goaltending. I actually do like Jake Allen and Binnington. So either whoever's there, I think, is going to be worthy. And I think that being that there will be this rallying cry, that they got close last year, I think they'll still fight it out. How they do in the playoffs is another story, but I think they'll finish second here. So who's next? Second, sorry. Mike.
I have Nashville finishing in second.
Mike and I are on the same page today, and I like it.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Great minds think alike.
Exactly.
No, I think that Ryan Johansson is going to have a big year with the Preds. I think that the addition of Subban. And one thing is, you've got that firmly established blue line there with Yossi, with Ekholm, with Ellis. I think it's going to allow Subban to sort of freewheel more, and I think that fits, like you said, Ek, with Laviolette's system. And I think there's enough there. It's not that team is getting worn down by Laviolette's system. I think finally you got players who can play Laviolette's system. So I think that's going to be an advantage. At some point they're probably going to bring up their first-round pick from a couple years ago. Fiala or some of their young prospects who Fiala's got some offensive ability, but the only concern I have is Rene. He's starting to get a little long in the tooth, and if you noticed in the playoffs last year, I didn't think he was particularly strong, but I think there's enough there that they'll finish in the playoffs. I have them second. Again, nobody knows what's going to happen in the playoffs in this division because they would, according to me, they would face Dallas in the first round, and anybody. That's a pick'em series, so we'll see.
I think Anaheim would disagree with your assessment of Rene in the playoffs last year.
well,
I mean, he legitimately won that series for them, and especially Game 7. I mean, he was just unbelievable.
Yeah, but what happened in the second round? In the second round, he wasn't that great.
Well, that was the second round, right? That was
it was first round.
It was the
First round, they beat the Ducks.
Right. Second round, yeah, they still got past it, right? And they ended up in the third round. Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I said Rene too, and of course, Predators. If you ever look at their logo, they are long in the teeth. Anyway, just saying. Russ,
I've got the Hawks here. The Scott Gomez info may have been old. I can't even tell now where I was looking at, but he's on the NHL Network, and I don't like him on that either. But anyhow.
All right. So regardless, the thing with the Hawks is Mark Kelly. This is where he earns his bones because Hinestroza is playing, Ryan Hartman's playing, who adds speed and grit. Nick Schmaltz is playing, who adds vision, skill, and speed. And Tyler Mott, who really could be anywhere from a second liner to a fourth liner, but he's very sturdy. He is a very strong kid. He's great in the locker room. He's great on the ice as far as doing all those little things. These are all young guys in their lineup, and they're probably not going to miss a beat. And again, I don't even want to hear about the goaltending because we can complain about their goaltending every year, and every year they win. So I don't even think about the Hawks goaltending anymore. That's it. All right. So this is the first time that I don't think we all have picked the same first team. Like with the first two divisions, we actually went with this. We each had San Jose. We all had Tampa. I don't know. You weren't here for the Tampa one, but Jill, but I don't know who you would have picked. You probably would have picked Tampa as well.
I probably would have picked Tampa. Yeah, I really think it's their year, honestly.
Two divisions there, and dog is freaking me out, man.
Sorry, he's a little alien. He's a little alien.
I have something I'm going to talk to him for a second. So as I'm going to let you guys start with your first. I'll be right back. So go ahead, Mike.
I'll go first. I have Chicago first in the division. Now, I think the thing that Russ was just talking about, the young players, is definitely going to help them because whenever they bring in new blood, they always seem to find one or two guys who ends up being either part of their top six or part of that core group. These players, Hinestroza, Hartman, Mott, Schmaltz, they're all going to get an opportunity to play in the top nine. Maybe, eventually maybe play on a line with Kane or play on a line with Taves. And if that happens and they get mixed in there, they'll have some success. I think the addition of Brian Campbell as a number 4 on that team, it's something that they've been missing. How many times did they strike out getting that number 4 defenseman? They tried Scuderi, they tried Oduya, or they lost Oduya. They tried a couple other things, and it didn't work out. But they know Campbell, and we know what he did in Florida last year, so that gives them 2 pairings that they can play over 20 minutes with Seabrook and Keith and Yarmulson and Campbell. And then they actually have a decent prospect in Kempney that they brought over, that he'll be probably on their bottom pairing. And in case one of those guys doesn't work off, they still have the dependable Roosevelt as a 7th defenseman. And as you said, Russ, I mean, Crawford,
say what you want. I
mean,
you
may not like him, but he's successful. So,
proven,
yeah.
Here's the funny thing. I'm going to tell you, I don't think there's any difference between Crawford and Holtby, except the world loves Holtby and the world loves killing.
What are their just like averages? I'm just curious because I feel like
Holtby
Crawford has had a little more missteps.
Holtby had a goals against and save percentage close to Carey Price's year from 2 years ago. So his year was above. I mean, Crawford has been consistent over the last 3 or 4 years. He's been getting consistently better each year. So I mean,
nobody has a good year. Nobody wants to say he's had a good year. Everybody's
because they write it off as he's on the coattails of Taves and Kane and Hossa.
Okay, but the last 2 years he's had a .924 save percentage. That's consistency. That's not a team stat. That's the goalie stat.
Yeah.
So
honestly, Crawford's one of the reasons that I picked Chicago to come first in the division. It's also tough in this division too because, like we've said many times, that really this can go anyway. But if for me picking who's going to come first in the division, it came down to I'm looking at the team that has been historically seen the most success. Out of any team, I actually trust their goaltending the most. I still don't love their defense, but it's still. But
Holtby had a .922, so Crawford had a better save percentage.
Really?
But the perception is that Holtby is better, and that's the thing.
Interesting. I could have sworn, to me, and that's the thing, is that if I was going off of last season, I swore Holtby had a better season. That's interesting.
Well, he had a better season. He had more wins. He had 48 wins. I mean, he had a better season. He won the Vezina. I'm not going to argue that. But I'm just saying, in the one money stat for goalies, Crawford was better, and I'm sure everybody will be surprised by that because, like I said, we just get used to pigeonholing this guy.
Now, Russ, you didn't have Chicago as the number one.
No, I did. I had Chicago as number one.
Oh, I thought you said they were second.
No, Nashville is number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And they also have that line where it's going to be Panarin, Kane, and Anisimov. That's going to be a very potent line, and that might be one of the best, honestly, in the division.
Yeah, well, I saw set lines, Mike, and they actually had, believe it or not, Schmaltz on the 4th line, and that's fine because he's a center. Like, where is he going to center? I mean, so, that's an embarrassment of riches right there.
Yeah, I know, and you've got some veteran guys in there like Kruger, and I know that they used Richard Panik on the number 1 line playing with Taves and Hossa, and it just worked. So they, Richard Panik was a 4th liner with Toronto, was a 3rd or 4th liner with Tampa. But sometimes you plug a guy in, and he actually had a pretty good playoff. So sometimes you plug a guy in, and he just fits. So that might be the case, and they may be able to move things around. But eventually, oh God, here we go.
What the hell is that?
What are you saying, Mike? So
I don't know. I'm just sort of stunned now at what I'm looking at.
How so?
Anyway,
I believe that yeah, I'm definitely going with Chicago as well.
So we all picked the same.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. We all picked Chicago to come in first.
No. Didn't Russ pick Nashville?
I picked Chicago.
Oh, well, that was wrong then. Okay. Well, anyway, I just wanted to be nice.
Don't chase your tail over it. I think it's a good pick.
I'm having trouble with my head today. Sorry. Anyway.
Where is that? One, why do you have that? 2, I have one of those, and it scares the crap out of my.
You have one of these masks?
That's what we're scared about. Why do you have that?
Yeah, I have one because I have a pug, and that might not make the most sense, but it was silly. So I'm like, oh, we can put it on.
This is the silliest mask ever. How do you get it to work though? It's frustrating.
Oh, I might not have the same one. Mine's literally just a mask.
I think he has it because if you wear a clown one now, you'll be attacked. So at least if you wear that, you'll be okay.
No, I had it really good for a while. I had it the other day where it actually worked really well with your mouth and worked when you moved your mouth perfectly.
Oh, you're like Chewbacca mom who wanted to is that one of those masks where it actually does stuff when you open it?
The mouth actually does work. You see, if you put it on right, it actually will work pretty well.
McDonald's has deactivated Ronald until the clown thing is over.
Oh, really? Wow, that's a
They said he's going to keep a low profile. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Because this is the weirdest thing that's probably. Actually, I shouldn't say it's the weirdest. There are plenty of weirder things happening in America right now. But
yeah, I'd agree with that. No, so anyway, I have Chicago as well, and I think that as we move forward here, what's interesting to me is I was thinking about this, and the Blackhawks are in general. Are we looking at 3 division leaders or even 4 division leaders, because we haven't done the other division yet, that could run away with their divisions? Like, are we looking at Chicago, Tampa, and San Jose, and perhaps Washington, who could run away with their divisions?
No. At least not in this division. I think this division is so competitive that the top 4 in this division will be. I mean, remember, a couple years ago, you had 6 teams in this division that had over 90 points. I think at least the top 4 in this division will be relatively close. Not saying that I don't think Chicago is the best of those teams, but I think that they will be, because the division is so competitive. Yeah. They'll be relatively close. Whereas San Jose might have a little bit of a gap. I think Tampa Bay is going to run away with the Atlantic, and we'll talk about Washington tomorrow.
Yeah, Tampa Bay will run away with the Atlantic.
So anyway, I guess that's all the time we have for today.
Oh, and I did want to say this to you, Eck. I don't know if you would agree, but I did rank the top 10 prospects in Sportsology, but I have Line A third, just to let you know.
No, so that article's up now?
It's up now, and I have him third, yeah. That's why I ranked him.
Here you go to sportsology.com and check out Russ's predictions with the top prospects.
You know this is going to end up as the cover of our YouTube right now, don't you?
Could be. I don't know. I think that yeah. I mean, this is before the days of these Instagram filters. You had
it's called Snapchat. Get it right.
Snapchat filters. You had to wear the real thing.
This is old school.
This is old school. This is real. 100% real.
Except it's not real. It's a mask. But that'd be really creepy if it was real.
Yeah, but the whole thing of wearing a mask is you had to be uncomfortable. You couldn't see very well. All those things that Snapchat doesn't allow you to have. So
believe me, I'm uncomfortable.
All right, well,
you need an ID tag too.
I was Anyway, okay. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. Enjoy the opening night.